On Monday morning, Jensen Huang executed one of the most aggressive defensive capital maneuvers in the history of artificial intelligence. Nvidia didn't just throw a substantial sum of cash into Ilya Sutskever's secretive $30 billion startup. They just cut off Google's supply lines, hijacked Silicon Valley's ultimate AI profit, and sealed a silent cartel over the world's most valuable resource, raw compute. To understand why this single deal sent shockwaves through the venture capital landscape, you have to look past the surface-level headlines and examine the staggering financial anomaly of safe superintelligence, or SSI. Here is a company with zero public products, zero revenue, and zero commercial roadmap. Its internal research is locked behind titanium doors in total secrecy. Yet, venture capital heavyweights like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia Capital dumped $2 billion into it, crowning it with a $30 billion valuation before it even launched a website. In the world of traditional technology investing, a $30 billion valuation for $0 in revenue is pure insanity. But in the physics of venture capital, you are not paying for current cash flow. You are pricing in the probability of a technological monopoly. And until this week, that monopoly was quietly being built on hardware owned by Nvidia's fiercest rival, Alphabet's Google. Sources familiar with the matter confirmed that before this deal, SSI was running its core intelligence research primarily on Google's tensor processing units, or TPUs. For Nvidia, that constituted an existential threat. If Ilya Sutskever, the man who literally co-authored the foundations of modern deep learning, proved to the world that you could reach superintelligence using Google's custom chips instead of Nvidia's GPUs, Nvidia's $3 trillion market monopoly would instantly face a crisis of faith. So how did Jensen Huang respond? Nvidia moved in, conducted a rare inspection of SSY's internal research, and made a substantial equity investment. In exchange, Nvidia provided SSI with access to its flagship GPU hardware, increasing the startup's computing capacity by an entire order of magnitude. In venture capital terminology, an order of magnitude is not a minor upgrade. It is a 10x multiplier. If SSI was previously running on 10,000 Google TPUs, Nvidia just handed them the keys to a mega cluster of over 100,000 flagship GPUs. Look at the mechanics of this transaction through a venture capital lens. This is not traditional investing. This is circular compute hegemony. Nvidia uses its massive cash reserves to buy equity in top-tier AI labs. Those labs then take that exact capital and spend it directly on Nvidia's GPUs. Nvidia books the hardware revenue, locks in the customer for the next decade, and starves competitors like Google and AMD out of the ecosystem. And this is not an isolated event. Just months ago in March, Nvidia pulled the exact same maneuver with former OpenAI Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati and her new venture, Thinking Machines Lab. Thinking Machines released its very first AI model earlier this month, trained entirely on Nvidia hardware. Jensen Huang is systematically building an equity-backed hedge fund of ex-OpenAI founders. To truly grasp why Nvidia and venture capitalists are willing to bend capital markets for Ilya Sutskever, you have to understand the legend of the man himself. Born in the former Soviet Union and raised in Israel, Sutskever was a mathematical prodigy. As a graduate student in Canada, studying under Nobel laureate Geoffrey Hinton, Ilya co-wrote the seminal 2012 paper on computer vision that ignited the modern AI race. That paper proved a simple, terrifying thesis. If you scale up deep neural networks with massive amounts of data and massive compute power, measurable intelligence explodes. In 2015, Sutskever left Google to become a co-founder and chief scientist of OpenAI. For nearly a decade, he was the chief architect behind GPT-3, GPT-4, and ChatGPT. He became world famous for his unshakable conviction in the scaling law, the belief that simply scaling up data and compute would inevitably yield artificial general intelligence. Then came November 2023. The world watched in shock as OpenAI's board experienced a dramatic rupture. Sutskever voted to fire chief executive Sam Altman, triggering an intense corporate civil war. Although Altman was reinstated days later and Sutskever eventually departed, the real story wasn't political, it was philosophical. Sutskever realized a fundamental truth that the rest of Wall Street is only beginning to understand. Current scaling laws are hitting a wall. Simply scraping more internet text and burning gigawatts of electricity to brute force larger transformer models is producing diminishing returns. When Sutskever co-founded
Divert
Safe
auxiliary power
Superintelligence in
now.
2024, he declared a singular goal: a straight-shot research sprint to safe superintelligence. No consumer chatbots, no enterprise software subscriptions, no ad-supported search. In a rare public statement, Sutskever revealed that SSY's research is focused on overlooked aspects of how the human brain functions. Think about the profound implications of that statement. The human brain operates on roughly 20 watts of power, barely enough to light a single household bulb. Yet, it achieves reasoning capabilities that currently require megawatt data centers packed with thousands of GPUs. Sutskever is abandoning pure brute force statistical scaling to explore brain-inspired algorithmic paradigms. This is where Nvidia's strategic brilliance becomes clear. By securing an equity stake in SSI, Jensen Huang has bought the ultimate financial hedge. If brute force LLM scaling continues to work, Nvidia profits by selling millions of GPUs to OpenAI and Microsoft. But if Ilya Sutskever cracks the code on brain-inspired AI that bypasses traditional transformers, Nvidia ensures that this breakthrough still runs on Nvidia infrastructure rather than Google's TPUs. So what is the master lesson for founders, investors, and business leaders navigating this landscape? First, compute has officially replaced cash as the sovereign currency of technology. In the current environment, the most critical term sheet clause for an AI startup is not its valuation. It is guaranteed low-latency access to massive GPU clusters. Second, we are witnessing the sunset of the pure brute force AI era. When the very architects who created ChatGPT leave to build fundamentally new paradigms, it is a clear signal that the industry is shifting from quantitative scaling to qualitative algorithmic breakthroughs. Third, Nvidia has provided a masterclass in monopoly preservation. In high-tech capital markets, you don't maintain a moat simply by building superior hardware. You maintain a moat by acquiring equity in the minds of the geniuses who define the future of software.